My friends, welcome. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, and today I want to speak directly to everyone over the age of 60 because what I'm about to share can help you protect your brain, your heart, and quite possibly your life. Most people think vegetables are always safe, but the truth is certain vegetables, when eaten in the wrong amounts or in the wrong way, can raise your stroke risk almost overnight, and no one is talking about this. But you deserve to know. Let me start by saying this very clearly. Vegetables are powerful healing foods. They contain fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that protect your blood vessels. But when we get older, the way our body processes certain compounds changes. The kidneys slow down, blood vessels become more sensitive, and the brain becomes more vulnerable to sudden changes in blood pressure and blood chemistry. That's why today's message is so important. Most people believe vegetables are always safe, always protective, always good for the heart and brain. But what if I told you that a single bowl of the wrong vegetable, especially after the age of 60, can quietly push your stroke risk higher within hours, without pain, without warning, without any sign that your blood vessels are being overwhelmed from the inside? Your body changes with age, but the foods you grew up believing were harmless do not change with you. Spinach, beets, beet greens, Swiss chard, these aren't junk foods, yet for millions of older adults, these exact high-oxalate vegetables can behave like microscopic sandpaper traveling through fragile arteries. The truth is simple. After age 60, your kidneys filter up to 25% less efficiently than they did when you were in your 30s, and that means one thing. Oxalates that used to pass harmlessly through your urine now linger longer in your bloodstream. These oxalates are not soft, not gentle, not friendly. Under a microscope, they look like tiny, razor-sharp crystals that can trigger inflammation the moment they lodge themselves in weakened vessel walls. And inflammation inside an artery isn't just irritation, it is the spark that makes blood platelets rush in, stick together, and form a clot. And a clot is exactly what blocks blood flow to the brain and causes a stroke. A study published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that even moderate servings of high-oxalate foods increase the formation of calcium oxalate crystal deposition by nearly 40% within hours. Imagine that. Within the time it takes to watch a movie, these crystals can rise in your bloodstream and begin irritating the endothelial lining that keeps your arteries flexible. And when the lining becomes stiff and reactive, your blood pressure doesn't rise gradually, it spikes suddenly. That sudden spike is one of the most dangerous events in older adults because the brain's delicate vessels cannot handle rapid pressure changes the way they used to. Many seniors who experience mini strokes or early warning symptoms never connect it to what they ate earlier that day. They blame stress, fatigue, or age, never realizing their healthy salad or beet smoothie triggered a cascade inside their bloodstream. When you were younger, your kidneys had the power to flush out these compounds quickly, but the aging kidney works slower, filters less, and becomes more vulnerable to buildup. Think about it. The same spinach that lowers blood pressure in younger adults can cause blood pressure instability in older adults simply because kidneys can no longer keep up with its oxalate load. And the danger is not only inside the kidneys, the real danger is systemic. Oxalates circulating in the blood can bind to calcium, forming crystals that irritate the inner lining of arteries, especially arteries already weakened by decades of daily wear. Cardiologists have long warned that inflammation, not cholesterol, is the true ignition switch behind most modern strokes. And oxalates are powerful inflammatory triggers in older vascular systems, yet almost nobody over 60 is warned about this. Beet juice, popular for lowering blood pressure, can ironically create the perfect storm for stroke in older adults. High oxalates combined with potent nitrates. Those nitrates can cause dramatic swings in blood pressure, first lowering it, then causing a rebound spike. One moment your vessels are relaxed, the next moment they're constricting violently. That seesaw effect is a silent killer. In fact, research shows that older adults are far more sensitive to nitrate-induced blood pressure changes than younger adults because aging arteries have reduced nitric oxide responsiveness. When responsiveness drops, the arteries lose their ability to stabilize pressure after sudden changes. And what happens when pressure is unstable? Small, fragile vessels inside the brain become strained, stretched, and vulnerable to rupture or blockage. But the problem doesn't stop with oxalates. Beets and beet greens are often juiced, and juicing removes fiber, the one thing that slows the release of these compounds into the bloodstream. Without fiber, oxalates rush into circulation faster and the spike becomes sharper and more dangerous. Imagine pouring sand into a water filter that's already partially clogged. The slower the filter, the quicker the backup, the greater the pressure. That's what happens inside the aging kidneys. With every passing decade, kidney filtration drops by roughly 1% per year after age 40. By the time someone reaches their mid-60s, their filtration rate may be 20, 30, or even 40% lower, and they don't feel a thing. No symptom warns them that their kidneys can no longer handle sudden loads of oxalate-rich foods. They keep eating the same way they did at 40 and wonder why they suddenly feel dizzy after meals, why their blood pressure becomes unpredictable, why their legs swell, why their doctor warns them about borderline kidney function. The connection is rarely made. Scientists now know that oxalates don't just affect the kidneys. They can deposit in the thyroid, the joints, the arteries, and even brain tissue, but in the arteries they become especially dangerous. When oxalates irritate endothelial cells, those cells release inflammatory chemicals that make the artery walls more sticky. Sticky walls catch platelets. Platelets form clots. Clots block blood flow. And when blood flow stops to part of the brain begins to die within minutes. That is why understanding oxalates matters. That is why older adults must respect the biochemical reality of aging. The problem is not the vegetable, it's the mismatch between the vegetable and the physiology of an aging body. And here's the most shocking part. A study from Harvard found that people who ate high-oxalate vegetables without pairing them with calcium-rich foods were up to 30% more likely to experience oxalate buildup. Why? Because calcium binds oxalates in the gut, keeping them out of the bloodstream. But older adults often avoid calcium foods due to lactose issues, making them unintentionally more vulnerable. Most seniors don't know that steaming spinach cuts its oxalate content nearly in half. They don't know that beet greens contain double the oxalates of the beets themselves. They don't know that Swiss chard and rhubarb are some of the highest oxalate foods known to science. They simply eat what they believe is healthy, unaware that the aging kidney sees those foods differently. The body is wise, but it needs cooperation, it needs awareness, it needs respect for the changes that come with age. Because after 60, a vegetable that once protected you can quietly turn against you, not because it is dangerous, but because your filtration system has changed. So when we talk about stroke prevention, we must talk not only about salt, sugar, cholesterol, or stress. We must talk about oxalates. We must talk about the silent, invisible crystals that older kidneys struggle to eliminate. And we must talk about the reality that stroke risk is not just about what you avoid. It is about understanding how your body transforms with time and how certain foods interact with that transformation. Because once you understand that, you gain power. Power over your blood pressure, power over your arteries, power over your future. And the greatest gift you can give your brain is knowledge. The knowledge that what you put on your plate today determines the strength, clarity, and longevity of your mind tomorrow. Most people never imagine that the vegetables sitting quietly in their kitchens, potatoes and eggplants, could interfere with their nervous system, destabilize their blood pressure, and raise their stroke risk overnight. But the truth is startling. After age of 60, the body's ability to handle nightshade toxins, particularly glycoalkaloids, declines dramatically, and what was once harmless in your 30s can become a vascular threat in your 60s. Potatoes are one of the most consumed foods on Earth, but hidden beneath their surface is a natural chemical defense system that plants develop to protect themselves from insects. These chemicals, glycoalkaloids, are powerful nerve stimulants, and when potatoes age, sprout, or turn even slightly green, their glycoalkaloid levels can skyrocket to dangerous concentrations. Research published in the Journal of Food Science shows that glycoalkaloid levels can increase by up to 400% when potatoes are stored improperly or exposed to light. Most people don't know this. Most seniors simply cook the potato the way they always have, never realizing the neurological storm building beneath its skin. Glycoalkaloids interfere with a critical enzyme in the nervous system called acetylcholinesterase. This enzyme controls the signals that regulate your heartbeat, your blood pressure, your digestion, and even the dilation of your blood vessels. When this enzyme is disrupted, nerve signals misfire. Blood pressure becomes unpredictable. heart rate becomes unstable, and fragile arteries, already weakened by age, are pushed into dangerous fluctuations that can trigger a stroke. For someone under 40, the body can usually compensate. The nerves reset, the vessels recover, but after 60, something changes. Nerve cells regenerate more slowly, blood vessels lose elasticity, the body becomes more reactive to sudden pressure changes, and the same glycoalkaloid exposure that would cause mild discomfort in a younger adult can trigger a hypertensive surge in an older one. This is why many seniors experience unexplained headaches, dizziness, or pounding in the chest after eating fried or reheated potatoes. They think it's salt. They think it's age. They never imagine it's the potato itself. One clinical study from Sweden showed that older adults had significantly higher blood pressure responses to glycoalkaloid exposure than younger adults, even at the same dose, proving that aging nerves simply cannot handle these compounds with the same resilience. And then there is eggplant, a vegetable praised for its fiber and antioxidants, yet carrying the same family of glycoalkaloids that create pressure instability in the cardiovascular system. In small amounts, eggplant is harmless, but the danger doesn't come from the vegetable alone. It comes from how it's cooked and how the aging body reacts to it. Frying eggplant increases glycoalkaloid availability while soaking the vegetable in oxidized oils. These oils are unstable, inflammatory, and capable of damaging the inner lining of the arteries as soon as they enter the bloodstream. A study from the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism revealed that oxidized oils can increase arterial inflammation markers by up to 75% in older adults within just one meal. And when inflammation rises inside the arteries, the risk of clot formation skyrockets. Imagine this. A senior eats a fried eggplant dish in the evening. The next morning they feel pressure in the head, their vision blurs for a moment, they lose balance, and they dismiss it as just age catching up. But what they experienced was likely a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke triggered by blood pressure instability and vascular inflammation. Many people don't survive the next one. Nightshade vegetables contain solanine and chaconine, two glycoalkaloids known to cause nerve irritability. When these compounds build up in the bloodstream, especially in older adults with slower metabolism, they can overstimulate nerves that control the constriction and dilation of blood vessels. And when vessels constrict too quickly, blood pressure surges. Surge after surge creates microscopic tears inside the arteries. These tears become hot spots for clot formation, and clots inside arteries feeding the brain can block blood flow in seconds. That blockage is what we call a stroke. The frightening truth is that most people have absolutely no idea that the way they store potatoes determines whether they are eating a harmless vegetable or a nerve-toxic substance. When potatoes develop green patches, something many people simply peel off, they are telling you their glycoalkaloid levels have risen beyond safe limits. Even a small amount of green in a potato indicates a chemical shift that can disrupt the cardiovascular system. Scientists warn that no amount of cooking completely removes glycoalkaloids. Not boiling, not baking, not frying. The only safe method is prevention, proper storage, and removing deeply all discolored areas. But most seniors do not know this. They continue eating potatoes stored near windows, near stoves, or on countertops where sunlight quietly triggers glycoalkaloid production day after day. The danger grows even quicker when potatoes sprout. Those little sprouts many people simply cut off are concentrated reservoirs of glycoalkaloids. Eating a sprouted potato is like swallowing a dose of nervous system stimulant strong enough to destabilize blood pressure in hours. One European food safety report documented dozens of cases where seniors developed severe neurological symptoms after consuming sprouted potatoes, symptoms that closely resemble early stroke warning signs: confusion, weakness, irregular heart rhythms, sudden dizziness, pressure in the head, and difficulty focusing. And while many recover, the dangerous fact remains. These episodes create immense stress on blood vessels that are already aging, already thinning, already vulnerable. Eggplants, too, can become dangerous when overripe or improperly stored because glycoalkaloid concentrations increase as the vegetable ages. And frying eggplant, one of the most common cooking methods, creates the perfect storm. high glycoalkaloids combined with inflammatory oils and high heat that damages vascular tissues. When older adults consume these meals, their arteries respond with stiffness instead of flexibility. Their blood pressure responds with spikes instead of stability. Their nerves respond with irritation instead of calm signaling. This trifecta is the silent pathway that leads directly to stroke. But the most shocking truth is this: these symptoms rarely appear immediately. They build in the background. They happen overnight while the body rests, while blood pressure naturally rises during early morning hours when most strokes occur. Every doctor knows this phenomenon. The early morning surge is the most dangerous window for older adults. Now imagine adding glycoalkaloid-induced vessel instability to that natural surge. The combination can be catastrophic. This is why seniors must pay attention, not out of fear, but out of empowerment, because knowledge prevents tragedy. When you store potatoes in a dark, cool place, you cut glycoalkaloid formation dramatically. When you avoid eating sprouted or green potatoes, you eliminate a major vascular risk. When you cook eggplant properly, salting it, draining it, pairing it with anti-inflammatory ingredients, you protect your arteries. And when you reduce frying and reheating, you lower inflammation inside your blood vessels and support stable blood pressure. The human body is extraordinary, but after 60, it becomes more sensitive, more reactive, and more vulnerable to compounds it once tolerated with ease. The goal is not to fear food. The goal is to understand it, respect it, and use it wisely, because the difference between a stable heart and a dangerous blood pressure spike can be as small as a single neglected vegetable sitting on your counter. And when you know the truth, you gain the power to protect your brain, protect your heart, and protect your future. Most people think danger comes from unhealthy foods, processed snacks, or sugary meals, but for millions of adults over 60, the real danger often comes from foods they've trusted their entire lives, foods they assume are always safe, always healing, always good. But the truth is far more complex, because when the body changes with age, the way foods interact with it changes too. And the vegetables that once protected you can quietly begin working against you if you don't prepare them the right way. This isn't about fear. This is about empowerment, because the moment you understand how a single cooking method, a small storage mistake, or a missing nutrient pairing can transform a harmless vegetable into a vascular threat, you gain the power to protect your heart, your arteries, and your brain from the inside out. The first reality you must understand is this: the aging body does not process compounds the way it used to. The kidneys slow, the arteries stiffen, the digestive system becomes more reactive, the nervous system becomes more delicate. And when you combine an aging body with vegetables that contain natural plant toxins like oxalates or glycoalkaloids, you create a situation where your preparation method matters more than it ever did before. Science shows that steaming spinach can reduce its oxalate levels by nearly 50%, but eating it raw can force your kidneys into overdrive. Research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry confirms that cooking destroys significant portions of the oxalates that would otherwise overwhelm older kidneys. This means one simple decision, raw or steamed, can be the difference between lowering inflammation and triggering it. Most seniors don't know this. They throw handfuls of raw spinach into smoothies, proudly believing they're strengthening their health, not realizing they may be spiking the very compounds their kidneys are struggling to eliminate. Beets are another example. When roasted or boiled, they release their nutrients slowly, gently, in a way the body can manage. But juicing them removes all fiber, causing oxalates and nitrates to rush into the bloodstream, pushing blood pressure up and down like a roller coaster. Studies show that older adults experience exaggerated nitrate responses compared to younger individuals, making beet juice far more unpredictable and far more dangerous after 60. But eaten properly, in cooked form and reasonable amounts, beets support circulation, cleanse the liver, and feed good gut bacteria. The vegetable isn't the enemy. The method is. The same is true for potatoes. A potato stored properly, peeled deeply, and cooked thoroughly is a nourishing source of potassium, fiber, and slow-release energy. But a potato stored in sunlight, sprouted, or tinged green contains glycoalkaloid levels high enough to disrupt nerve signals and destabilize blood pressure within hours. Food safety authorities warn that frying potatoes increases glycoalkaloid concentration dramatically because heat breaks down cell walls, releasing more toxins into the edible portion. Yet most seniors fry potatoes out of habit, unaware that they're concentrating the very chemicals that cause their headaches, dizziness, and pressure surges. Eggplant tells the same story. Prepared properly, salted to remove bitterness and glycoalkaloids, cooked with anti-inflammatory oils like olive oil, paired with garlic or turmeric, it becomes a heart-supporting vegetable that feeds the brain with antioxidants and fiber. But fried eggplant soaked in overheated oils becomes a cardiovascular landmine. Research shows that reheated vegetable oils increase inflammatory markers in the bloodstream by up to 75% in older adults, setting the stage for arterial stiffness, clot formation, and stroke. And the tragedy is that most seniors don't know that a single fried meal can have that effect for 24 to 48 hours. The real message is simple: vegetables are powerful, but that power can swing both ways, and the older you get, the more carefully you must harness that power, because the same compounds that heal you at one dose can harm you at another. That's why calcium pairing is so important. When you eat high-oxalate vegetables, pairing them with calcium-rich foods helps bind oxalates in the gut, preventing them from entering the bloodstream. A study from Harvard revealed that people who consumed high-oxalate vegetables without dietary calcium experienced significantly higher oxalate absorption, while those who paired them with calcium foods had drastically lower levels. That is not just a nutritional trick, that is stroke prevention in action. Something as simple as adding yogurt, sesame seeds, or a small amount of cheese to your meal can protect you from a biochemical chain reaction that would otherwise increase inflammation, stiffen arteries, and push blood pressure into dangerous territory. Even hydration becomes a life or death factor after age 60. The kidneys need water to flush toxins, and dehydration makes oxalates more concentrated. Many seniors don't feel thirst as strongly, so they underestimate their water needs, unknowingly making oxalate-heavy meals even harder on their system. When the body is dehydrated, blood becomes thicker, blood pressure rises, and the risk of clotting triples. Combine this with poorly prepared high-risk vegetables, and suddenly a meal becomes a vascular event waiting to happen. Walking after meals is another powerful tool. Research shows that a 15-minute walk can significantly improve blood vessel flexibility and help stabilize blood pressure after eating. Seniors who walk after meals experience fewer nighttime blood pressure surges, fewer morning pressure spikes, and better kidney filtration. These small habits are not decoration, they are defense. They are protection against the gradual, silent, slow-motion damage that leads to stroke. And the most empowering part of all is this: with the right preparation, these vegetables do not increase your stroke risk at all. In fact, they can dramatically reduce it. Spinach becomes safer and more beneficial when steamed and paired with calcium. Beets become healing when cooked instead of juiced. Potatoes become heart protective when stored correctly and baked instead of fried. Eggplant becomes anti-inflammatory when salted and cooked gently in stable oils. These aren't restrictions, they're corrections. They're adjustments that allow you to keep the foods you love without jeopardizing your arteries or your brain. Because as you age, you shouldn't fear vegetables, you should understand them. You should know how your body responds to them. You should know how to prepare them in a way that honors your health, your longevity, and the decades of life you still have ahead. The truth is, food becomes medicine when you use it wisely, and medicine becomes poison when you don't. The power is in your preparation. The protection is in your awareness. And the future of your brain, your heart, and your independence begins with what you choose to do in your kitchen today.